Hello, and welcome to What's the Buzz? This first video is a kind of introduction to pollinators and a why the future videos going into more detail about different pollinators is so important. In the United States, crops that were directly pollinated by insects during the year of 2003 had an estimated value between 18 and $27 billion. If that were expanded to include indirect products such as milk and beef from cattle that were fed by pollinated plants, pollinators could be responsible for up to twice that amount. Pollinators are vital to the economic value that we have placed in agriculture to provide food and resources to humans. But pollinators are important for many reasons besides this economical value. They provide many benefits to natural areas and ecosystems. They keep plant communities healthy and productive. Many flowering plants, such as bushes and trees, can continue to flower as normal for decades without pollinators, but they won't be reproducing, making it difficult to notice that there is actually an issue. Even when we do know that there is a problem, we must have a pretty good understanding of not only the plant, but the insects that pollinate that plant. This could include how specific the relationship is, whether they can only pollinate one flower or if they're very general with what flowers they can get nectar and pollen from, how to best protect the habitat for the plant, how the pollinator forages pollen and nectar, and even nesting sites so that the pollinators can reproduce. Some pollinators also help ecosystems by initiating decay by boring holes into dead or weakened trees, supporting plants that stabilize soil and prevent erosion and keep creeks clean, and providing fruit, seeds, and even themselves as food for mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, and spiders. So we get that pollinators are important, but what's the problem? Pollinators, like many organisms, face a lot of threats largely due to human beings. Much of the habitat that pollinators have historically used have either been destroyed outright or fragmented into small, isolated patches due to agricultural practices and urban development. Pollinators are also greatly affected by light pollution caused by our artificial lights. Many nocturnal insects may use the moon and stars for navigation and get confused by artificial lights. This artificial light also makes it significantly easier for nocturnal predators of these insects to locate them. We can also sometimes have exotic organisms that get introduced into ecosystems, and whether it's intentional or not, this can affect native pollinators both directly and indirectly. Invasive plants can destroy habitats by crowding out native plant species. This can lead to both inferior foraging and egg-laying opportunities for native pollinators, especially if they are specialists and only gather or nest within specific plants and can't adapt to this invasive plant. Invasive plants may also encourage or support invasive insects that provide direct competition for the native pollinators for both food and nesting sites. Invasive predators can increase the predation of certain species, reducing their overall populations. Sometimes these organisms are introduced on purpose. This commonly happens as a safe alternative to pesticides to control pest plants and insects, though we can see that it has a lot of negative effects as well. Many pollinators also have to deal with pathogens and parasites. This is especially common recently among many bee species, especially when non-native species or international transport is involved. Research on these pathogens and parasites on European honeybees are very well documented, but little is known about their impact on native bee species. It is believed that a fungal pathogen was picked up by bumblebee species when taken to Europe for breeding, and has been slowly spreading to native populations and causing rapid declines. Pollinators, especially bees and wasps, also have to deal with a stigma of, will they sting me? One of the first things many people likely think of when they see a bee or wasp is the worry about getting stung. But the truth is that bees are very unlikely to sting you. There are approximately 4,000 species of bees in America, and 90% of those are solitary bees. These solitary bees require extreme aggravation before they will sting you, since they will likely die defending their nest if they do, and their genetics will then not be passed on. Even if you are near their nest and threatening the eggs, these solitary bees would rather start over their hard work of finding a nesting site, preparing that site, salvaging food, and laying eggs than give their life defending it. That leaves the other 10%. These are all social bees. Social bees gather in hives. The first social bee many people think of is the European honeybee, which isn't actually native to America. But there are 47 species of bumblebees that are native to North America that nest socially, and at least 200 native species of sweat bees that will nest socially some of the time. These bees that nest socially are more likely to sting you, but only if you are near their hives. The drones that leave the hive to collect pollen and nectar typically don't even have stingers. Near the hive, the worker bees will sting as a defense mechanism, not really caring that they'll die since they are not passing on their genes anyways. Wasps are very similar in this aspect, and while they'll aggressively protect their nests and don't die after stinging, they're unlikely to sting while foraging unless aggravated. If you are stung, it is always recommended to slowly and calmly walk away from that area as you are likely near that hive. If you'd like to learn more specific information about various pollinator species, follow this page and look for more videos. Future videos will go more in depth about pollinator identification, foraging habits, nesting habits, specific conservation concerns, and most importantly, how you can help them. Thanks for watching.